to give more vocational qualifications, offer more vocational qualifications, and also give them the facilities to develop certain skills. Okay, you want to be a bricklayer, these are some courses that you can get access to quite easily. There's funding for these things.
Just giving them the reasons why the gang environment wouldn't be healthy for them.
What about the one that said, I don't want to do anything, I just enjoy what I'm doing? How can you help such person?
In that environment or in that community, it would be good to sort of form a youth group, youth group where you'll be able to involve them in various activities. Like
a black boy whose parents fled to the UK on the back of civil war that's ongoing in Somalia is going to be completely different from a British born who has been raised in an environment free from war, free from conflict, with
So if we had the power to change the neighborhood conditions, like your neighborhood, the area you live, where many black boys live, what will you start with first to reduce gang involvements? Yeah.
I think more opportunities to develop skills, because I feel sometimes the education system can individuals who are very good with skills, for example, some individuals are good with their hands, some individuals could be good builders, good craftsmen, but because of the fact that they've been introduced to the maths, the English, and the science, and all these different things, they get ostracized. So maybe to give more vocational qualifications, offer more vocational qualifications, and also give them the facilities to develop certain skills. Okay, you want to be a bricklayer, these are some courses that you can get access to quite easily. There's funding for these things. You want to be a mechanic, these are some courses that are available. So yeah, more practical
sort of work.
Yeah.
What about the one that said, I don't want to do anything, I just enjoy what I'm doing? How can you help such person?
Enjoy what I'm doing, as in like enjoy being idle, or
no, I enjoy being idle, I enjoy being in the gang and be happy with their mates. I don't want to do mechanic, I don't want to learn plumbing, I don't want to go back to school. How can you help such fellow?
I think, like, again, just giving them the reasons why the gang environment wouldn't be healthy for them because of what would happen as a result of of them being in there.
Having those sessions,
so if you give them a good reasons why they shouldn't be there, I think it could cause them to reconsider. And also, it will be good to in that environment or in that community, it would be good to sort of form a youth group, youth group where you'll be able to involve them in various activities, like, it could be sports activities or learning some new trades, like the brother said about handiworks, whichever one that they're interested in, they would then, pick to sort of get themselves involved in. So before you realize, they begin to be more comfortable and enjoy this new group or this new environment, and they start to lose interest in this violence and crime activities that takes place in their gang group. So I think that's one thing that I would do in the community, like coming back to the question.
Yeah. What about if you have a guy and the guy said to you, there is no peace at home, there is no point of me going home, I'm happy out there, because anytime I go home, it's argument from my parents. There is no peace. It's ranting, shouting, jumping everywhere, beating, a domestic violence from my dad, to my mom, or vice versa. So I'm happy out there. It's a tough question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a tough one. Well, I think, for example, one of the gyms that I've gone to over the years, YMCA, they offer, accommodation for young people who are going through those type of things. So I think that connecting them with those type of organization would be beneficial, because sometimes all they need is a change of environment that is affordable. And in that YMCA, if they're not earning monies, then they cover the accommodation until they are. So it's quite good as well. And when I do go there, I also play football as well with some of these guys, and yeah, to build that rapport and to help me to understand what is going on in their world, so that we can understand how we can help them to get out.
Thank you. That's a very good one. Thank you. So finally, how do you think peer pressure among Black boys differ from peer pressure in other cultural groups, and how does that influence gang involvement? So I know we mentioned peer pressure, in the Black guys. Yeah. Now, how do we compare the peer pressure among the Black boys differ from the peer pressure in other cultural or ethnic backgrounds?
Well, I think that peer pressure affects, backgrounds similarly, in the sense that we have a decision to make. Individuals have a decision to make, whether they're going to succumb to that, or they're going to take a stance, right? Now, I think what the difference is the background of individuals in terms of, as we mentioned, about their identity, that sense of belonging, the hope, the values that were instilled, the presence of their fathers, the presence of their mothers, the presence of that conducive environment. So the way how I see it is that, for example, there's certain people from some cultures who didn't go through the upheaval that some Black children go through. And I say that in reference to across the continent. Like, for example, a Black boy whose parents fled to the UK on the back of civil war that's ongoing in Somalia is going to be completely different from a British-born who has been raised in an environment free from war, free from conflict, where they have the basic needs met and all these type of things. And again, you talk about going back to centuries as well, where there were certain traumas that were passed down. Imagine someone lost their father and their mother due to civil war. And now you're asking them to leave family, their new family that they've made. So I think that the background matters. So again, when a lot of the fathers are in prison and the fathers are missing from the home, and this child has grown up without that additional support, and then they're presented in a situation where they need to make a decision, again, those factors play a part. With the strong support from their father, that could as an anchor to say, well, you know what, I don't need to go into that because I don't need to be a part of that group because I already have a stable environment at home. I already have a strong family group. So I think that family background, the dynamics of the home can influence how individuals react to peer pressure.
Thank you. Isaac, do you want to say anything?
Yeah. When it comes to gangs peer pressure as compared to other type of peer pressure, I don't know if I should call this even peer pressure or more like coerced, because some young people actually get more like coerced or forced to join. Because for all you may know, they are threatening to go and attack their homes, to attack their siblings, to attack their mom and their dad. So as a result, they feel the need to join in for their own safety and for their family's safety. You see, and that's how the gang sort of peer pressure can be a bit different from other environmental peer pressure, where they feel forced to join in, otherwise they will feel rejected in the society. You see, there can be a bit of a difference there. Yeah. So in that sense, that can make the gangs one a bit different from the usual one.
Thank you. I want us to talk about this this question. I just wanted to say something about it before we finally round up. What is the most common misconception about why Black boys join gangs that you think need to be corrected in society? Let me repeat it. What is the most common misconception? Misconception about why black boys join gangs that you think needs to be corrected in the society? I know we mentioned quite a few stuff, but what are these misconceptions that they said, okay, they are black boys, they are purple boys, that's why they joined the gang? Is there anything we can think about this, change about this misconception?
Yeah, I think that the perception need to change from, it being just a race-related or cultural-related issue to looking at, the fundamental root cause, and to do a proper root cause analysis to find out why did the person choose to get involved, as opposed to just looking at their culture or just labeling them on the back of their race or their skin color, or just to assume that just because they came from what appears to be a broken home, it means they didn't have the right upbringing. Like, for example, I was raised with my grandparents. However, I can testify that that was, for me, one of the best. My childhood was one of the best I could ever imagine it to be.
That's good.
And I didn't grow up around any trauma. I didn't grow up around any for language, any of those things. But I didn't grow up with my mother and my father. So I think that some of those misconceptions need to change.
Yeah. You know what, bro? Actually, having said that, although you're biological, because when we say parents, it's not necessarily always about your biological parents. You know that, right? So in your case, although your biological and your biological mother and father were not there, you were somehow able to get the affection that you needed from a mother and a father, which is in your grandmother and in your grandfather.
Correct.
And I could say the same about myself too. It somewhere, when to a certain stage in my childhood, I was with my grandmother and grandfather as well, and she was also getting me involved in, some of these things that we needed to do, like the household sort of stuff, going to the farm and washing the dishes, going to fetch water, setting a bit of something on the road, like water, sort of like the one impacts to sort of get something. You see, like how they instill some sort of disciplines in us as well, and which sort of formed as part of the foundation that we needed to grow to become the responsible adults that we are. But mainly speaking, in a way, through them, we were able to get what was missing at that time. In terms of speaking from the biological parents' perspective, because we were still able to get some sort of guidance from a parent's figure in our lives, in grandmother and grandfather. I hope I'm making sense. Yeah,
it makes sense. Thank you very, very much. And before we go, actually, there's so much question. Imagine which one is going to be the one we're going to round up. Imagine you could create a new school curriculum to help Black boys navigate challenges like gangs. What would the first lesson be about?
I think I would teach them about the history, the true history, not the one that we see here in school where they give you a false representation of what happened. But I think that for me, one of the most important thing was that in my curriculum in school, growing up in Jamaica, they taught us everything about that we should know at that point about our history, our ancestors, our background. And I think that's the important starting point. So make sure that individuals are taught bespoke history about their culture that's taught by people from their culture potentially, and also people who actually knew exactly what happened. So that's where I would start.
Yeah. And also, bro, before we continue on this particular topic, I wanted to add, right, that I also agree with what you said in terms of the single parent thing being a stereotype, because there are some people that single-handedly brought up their children, and yet so they were able to grow up to be perfectly responsible
Sure.
adults in the society, in the community. They were able to understand certain values and principles that they needed as, in growing to become the men and women that they needed to be. You see, they may have, and meanwhile, they may have been brought up by just their dad or just their mom. And yet still, by God's grace, they were able to bring them up in a successful, responsible way. So yeah, in that sense, I also agree that it's a sort of typical mindset as well.
No, thank you. Thank you, guys. It's been a wonderful time to host you, to have this wonderful discussion. And I believe that since we've been talking, I believe that one or two things will help anyone out there who will be listening to this, either now or in the future. And I pray that everyone that has been involved or involved in the gang, that the Almighty God Himself will touch their heart, arrest them, and bring them back to their place of purpose.
Yeah.
And thank you, guys. It's been a wonderful time, and hopefully
It's been a pleasure.
see another time.